If I connect to a network right now, in under 30 seconds, I can tell you who's alive, what ports are open, what services are running on those ports, what operating system are those hosts running, and maybe uncover some vulnerabilities that I can immediately exploit. And all of this just using one single tool. And maybe you guessed it right, Nmap. But we are not just going to run Nmap scans today. We are going to break them down at packet level. We will run real scans on my Kali machine. You can use any operating system. Nmap is available across all operating systems like Windows, Linux, Macs, anything. And then I'll show you what exactly is happening behind the scenes, or behind the scans if you say, using the Nmap simulator, which you can access from my website. The link would be in the description. We'll start simple. First, discovering live hosts, or which is also known as host discovery. Then we'll move to port scanning, then understand how TCP scans actually work. We will look at various scans like the Connect Scan, SYN Scan, and then we'll explore some stealth techniques, OS detection, and vulnerability scanning with the help of NSE, or the Nmap Scripting Engine. Ready? So let's start. So generally speaking, if you want to find out whether a host is alive or not, what will you do? Obviously, we'll ping it, right? Let's do it. So there is a host on my network which is alive. This one, 192.168.211.131. We'll be using it very oftenly. So let me just export it. IP equals to, and let me just paste this IP address. Now I'll ping that IP address, IP, and let me just increase font size a bit. And as you can see, we got the responses, which tells us that for sure the host is alive. It's responding to our ICMP requests, so it means the host is alive. Good. But I just did this for a particular host. I can do this manually for 2 hosts, maybe 3 hosts, or maximum 5 hosts. But what if I want to scan an entire network? Even a /24 subnet will have 256 IP addresses that should be scanned to check if they are alive. I'm not going to do it manually, right? Will you? No one would do it, right? So here, what we'll do is we'll take the advantage of Nmap's ping scan. To perform a Nmap's ping scan, what we'll do is we'll type nmap -s small n and then that IP address. So with this command, what Nmap will do is it will ping that IP address, similar to what we were doing before, ping and that IP address. But what if I add a /24 here? If I add a subnet mask with the IP address, if I can show you my IP assignment, you can see the network I am connected to, its net mask is 255.255.255.0, which means it's a /24 subnet. So if I add a /24 with the IP address, what Nmap will do is it will scan the entire network. It will send the ICMP requests or the ping scan to each and every host on the network and see which ones are alive or not. Let's run this scan. Let's see what's the output. So from the output, we can see Nmap done 256 IP addresses scanned, 4 hosts up. This was scanned just in 28 seconds. Like 256 hosts were scanned in just 28 seconds. Like crazy fast shit. Now to understand what's happening behind the scenes, let's use the Nmap simulator. So if I just paste here the target IP address and the ping scan, so the terminal command would look like this. And if I run scan, as you can see, the ICMP echo request was sent and we got the response, ICMP type 0 echo reply. So the host is responding to our ICMP request. So yes, this means that the host is alive. And if I want to scan the entire network, I'll do is I'll paste in the IP address, add the subnet mask, select ping scan from here. And when I run the scan, as you can see, ICMP echo requests were sent to all these hosts, but we are receiving the replies only from these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hosts. You can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 ICMP echo requests were sent, but we only receive 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 replies. So this host was down. Another thing that I want you to know is if the target host is Windows and it's running Windows Defender. So Windows Defender by default blocks the ICMP requests. So if you perform a ping scan on that machine like 192.168.211.1, this machine is a Windows machine. So if I ping that, that Windows machine is running Windows Defender. So if I ping that, as you can see, we are not getting any responses. Like 9 packets transmitted, 100% packet loss, 0 packets received. So we'll conclude that the host is down, it's not alive, right? But in reality, that's not the case. The host is up, it's alive and it's running. In fact, I'm making video on it. So what we can do is we can use nmap-P small n and that IP address. So let me explain. Whenever Nmap scans a host, what it does is every time it performs the ping scan to check if the host is alive or not. If it's alive, then it proceeds forward with the port scanning and other stuff. But if it's dead, it will skip that host. So with this flag, what our advantage is that now Nmap will skip the host discovery part and will jump directly to port scanning. So it would also do port scanning on that Windows machine, and we would get some services and some open ports or something like that, and we can conclude then that yes, the host was up. So we have talked about host discovery, and now we can identify the alive hosts on our network. But knowing if a host is alive or not isn't the only thing we are looking for, right? We want more info. We want the open ports, the services running on those ports, their versions, the operating systems running on those machines, right? So that's why now we proceed with the next step, which is port scanning. But before we proceed with the port scanning, we need to understand what ports are, right? So let me give you an analogy. Consider IP addresses like building. So the ports are like the doors inside those buildings. Each door leads to a different service. Like one door might lead to SSH, another to a web server or something else. So whenever a data packet arrives at an IP address or the building, the port number tells the operating system that exactly which door or which service should receive that data packet so that the right data is sent to the right application or the intended application. In our analogy, port scanning is just identifying which doors are open. We would just go and knock on those doors and see who responds. So the most common port scan that you can perform using Nmap is by typing nmap followed by the target IP address. So in this scan, what Nmap will do is it will scan 1000 of the most common ports and see if they are open or not. It will also check what services are running on those ports. It will use a TCP Connect Scan if you are running this scan as a normal unprivileged user, and if you are using it as a root user or you are using sudo permissions, then it will use SYN Scan. Don't worry, I'll tell you the difference between the TCP Connect Scan and SYN Scan, but let's see the output first. Now the scan has been completed. It took 13.26 seconds and 977 closed TCP ports. So 977 ports were closed. Rest, as you can see, port 21 was open, FTP was running on it, port 22 was open, SSH was running, similarly port 80 was open and HTTP was running there. So this is the output for the most basic port scan you can do using Nmap. So now to understand these different types of scans like the SYN Scan and the TCP Connect Scan, we first need to understand how two hosts establish a TCP connection between each other. So whenever two machines want to communicate over TCP, they first establish a connection using a process known as a TCP Three-Way Handshake. Let's see how that works. By the way, I have already made a video or a short on the channel where I explain how Nmap determines whether a port is open or closed. You can check that out. The link would be in the I button. So first let me show you what a TCP Three-Way Handshake looks like, and then I'll explain you what happens behind the scene. Okay, so we sent a packet to our target. We received a packet. We sent another packet. That's it. Like three-way handshake. Three-way handshake is completed here. This only is three-way handshake. So what happened behind the scene is, so we as the operator here, we sent a SYN packet to a particular port on the target IP address. The SYN packet just basically says that it asks like if someone is listening on that port, like is it alive, right? So the target IP address here responded us back with a SYN-ACK packet. So SYN-ACK basically means that yes, the port is open, yes, we are open, we are listening, we are ready to establish a connection, right? So that's why we sent an ACK packet which confirms the connection, and now these two hosts are connected over TCP and can communicate. So the TCP Connect Scan uses this handshake to tell us whether a port is open or closed. If the handshake is completed, if it reaches the last step of sending the ACK, it knows that the port is open and it provides us with the results. But the thing with the Connect Scan is the connection is fully established here, so it gets logged in the logs of the IDS, IPS or firewalls, right? Which we don't want. We want to stay sneaky. So instead of this TCP Connect Scan, Nmap uses another scan which is known as the SYN Scan. Let me show you how it looks like, and then I'll show you what happens behind the scenes of that SYN Scan. Now a SYN packet is sent to the target on a particular port. We got the SYN-ACK, and here the things are a bit different. You will see that instead of sending the ACK flag, we sent the RST flag. So what RST means is that just reset the connection. We sent the SYN and we got the SYN-ACK. So we got to know that yes, the port is open. So instead of completing the handshake and establishing a full TCP connection, we sent an RST. This is a win-win situation for us because these types of half scan doesn't get logged in IDS, IPS or the firewall logs, right? That's why this scan is a stealthier option compared to the TCP Connect Scan. But the thing is, you need the sudo permissions to run this scan, or you should run this scan as a root user. Now sometimes we want to scan some specific ports, like for example, I want to check if a web server is running on this IP or not. So I will check port 80 and port 443, right? Nmap gives us this utility also. What we'll do is, let me open the terminal, increase font size and make it a bit wider. What we'll do is we'll type nmap and then we'll type p and then we'll specify the ports we want to scan, like port 80 and port 443. We'll choose SYN Scan and then that IP address. Let's see the response for this scan. Now as you can see, the port 80 was open, HTTP was running, and port 443 was closed. Pretty cool, right? Now we can also provide port ranges. Like for example, if I want to scan first 10,000 hosts, what I will do is I'll do nmap -P 12112344 4 zeros, and then I'll use -S capital S for SYN Scan and then the target IP address. Now it will scan first 10,000 ports and let's see the result. And you can see the output here. 997 ports were closed and rest were open, and these are the status of the open ports. We can also scan all the ports on a host. Like for example, if I want to scan all the 65535 ports, what I'll do is I'll type nmap -P again hyphen. Now what this will do is it will scan all the ports on that host. Well, it was pretty quick. In just 20 seconds, it scanned all the ports and 65505 ports were closed and these were the open ports, as we can see. Pretty cool, right? Now I am interested in finding out whether SSH is running on that IP or not. So what I'll do now is I'll check for port 22, right? So let's do it. Nmap -P port 22 and we'll select the SYN Scan for that and let's just paste the IP address. Let's run this scan. Let's see what's the output. As you can see, port 22 was open and SSH was running there. Let's now check for FTP. FTP runs on port 21. So we'll do is port 21 -S capital S and then that IP address. Let's check if FTP is running on that host or not. Well, yes, FTP was running. As you can see, port 21 open and service FTP is running on that port. Pretty cool. There's some more pretty cool stuff that we can do, right? Like we found out that SSH was running, right? We can also check for the version of SSH that was running. So to check the version, the flag that we use is -s V. So what we will do is nmap, like port 22, we want to check for SSH, we would use the version detection, we will use the SYN scan, and then the IP address. Okay, let me copy and the IP address. Now let's watch the results. As you can see here, we found out that SSH was running on port 22. Now we also got the version. The OpenSSH 4.7 P1 was running. Pretty cool stuff. We can also try to determine the operating system running on the target. So for that, the flag is -O. So what we'll do is we'll do nmap and map -O and then IP address. Let's run this scan. So this performs OS fingerprinting to guess what operating system is the target running. Now as you can see at the end, we got the device type general purpose running Linux 2.6.x. It also gave us the range, like it could be from Linux 2.6.9 to 2.6.33, which is accurate in this case. Now we did these various types of scans like the version detection scan, operating system scan, and so on. But Nmap gives us a shortcut. So we can use a scan which is known as aggressive scan. So nmap -A and then that IP address. Let's run this scan and see the output. So this scan will it will perform all the scans, like it will do the version detection, OS detection. It will also run some default Nmap scripts, which we'll talk about later in this video, and even perform trace route to the target. However, aggressive scans are noisy and are much easier to detect, so they are usually used during a deeper enumeration. So this is the result for the aggressive scan. It took about 2 minutes and 30 seconds. From starting, we can see that yes, port 21 was open for FTP. We got the version, but it also runs some default scripts like the FTP anon. So what this script does is it checks if the anonymous FTP login is allowed or not. So in this case, anonymous FTP login allowed. So this was pretty cool, right? So 22 was open. We got the version of SSH running, some keys here, and here you will see that yes, the port 80 was open. Web server was running there, HTTP. We got the HTTP title also, metasploitable to Linux, and we also got MySQL running here, MySQL 5.4.51. This is the version for MySQL. We got another FTP with a different version running here, right? Pretty cool, right? And at last, we also got the OS results like general purpose Linux 2.6.x and this same range. And at last, we would also get the trace route. So the Nmap's aggressive scan is the combination of SYN scan, version detection scan, and the default script scan like -S capital C. This flag is used to run the default scripts, and then we can paste the IP address. So the one last thing that I want to talk today is Nmap's most powerful feature, which is also known as Nmap Scripting Engine or NSE. So what NSE does is it empowers Nmap to run custom scripts that can automate a wide variety of tasks ranging from information gathering to even vulnerability detection. So whenever we install Nmap, it already comes with hundreds of pre-configured scripts. Let me show you. These scripts are stored under user, share, Nmap and scripts. So if I do ls here, as you can see, so many scripts are already pre-configured or pre-installed. We can also search for scripts related to a particular service. Like if I want to search for scripts related to HTTP. So what I'll do is I will do ls-al and then let's grep HTTP. So these all scripts are related to HTTP, like this robots.txt file. If you know what robots.txt file is, now this script will check for disallowed entries inside the robots.txt file. Let's cat this script. So by the way, these scripts are written in Lua programming language. This is Lua, and when I go on the top, we'll see the description, check for disallowed entries in robots.txt. And if I move down a bit, like in categories, we got default, discovery and safe. So every script in Nmap falls under some categories. Like these three categories are listed here: default, discovery, safe. There are many much more categories like vulns, auths, and brute and version. Like so many categories are there. Now that we understand how these scripts look like and how they're organized in different categories, let's run some of these scripts on our target. So let's copy this IP address and open a terminal window. So the syntax would be nmap, then we would type script and then the script name and then the target. Okay, so let's run a script to find out the HTTP headers for the web server running on our host. So what we'll do is we'll type nmap script and then HTTP header and then the IP address. Let's paste in the IP address. Okay, so HTTP header was not there. Let's check ls-al user share nmap and let's check header. There should be one HTTP server. Okay, so it was HTTP headers. So we'll do HTTP headers. Let's start this script. Now as you can see, we got the HTTP header here. Now the thing is, it is also scanning rest of the ports here. So in the next scan, we'll also specify the port number. Now, like for example, now I want to know the HTTP title for the web server. So what we'll do is I'll run nmap script HTTP title, then the IP address, but we'll also specify port here. So let's add port 80 script HTTP title and then the IP address. Now as you see here, it only scanned the port 80 and we got the Linux HTTP title metasploitable to Linux. We can also chain these scripts. We can run more than one script at a time. Let's run both of these scripts at the same time, like HTTP title and HTTP headers. We can run both these scripts at the same time also. As you can see here, we got the HTTP headers and HTTP title both. Now if I want to check if the given host or the IP address is vulnerable to a already pre-known vulnerability, so what I'll do is I'll run all the scripts which are categorized under the vuln category. So what I'll do is nmap and then we'll do script script and then we'll add vuln here, vuln or vulns. Let's see what it is, and then let's just paste the IP address. Let me copy it again, yeah, and then paste this IP address, sorry, and let's run the scan. So this can take some time because it's running all the scripts of the vuln category. Let's see. Okay, so it took some time, like it took 325.76 seconds, but you know there are so many results. But this is because we are running these scans on the metasploitable box, which is intentionally vulnerable. You won't find this in real world scenarios. Let's read from the top. For port 21 we got vulnerable. So on port 21 the FTP was vulnerable. For the FTP vs FTPD backdoor vulnerability, state vulnerable, exploitable. We also got the CVE for it, and these are the references. Like this is the exploit that you can use for this vulnerability. And if we go a bit downwards, let's go for HTTP. Yeah, for 80 HTTP SQL injection, possible SQL injection for these queries. We can check these queries with the HTTP enum scan. We got /phpinfo.php here, possible information file, phpMyAdmin is there. Okay, we got PostgreSQL. It was running a vulnerable server. SSL TLS and man in the middle attack vulnerability, CCS injection, risk factor high. So this is the result for all the scripts of the vuln category. Like so powerful. Nmap is so powerful. Okay, so that was hell of a video on Nmap. We started with discovering the live hosts on a network, then learned how to do port scanning and how Nmap determines whether a port is open or closed. We took a look at the three-way handshake, the TCP three-way handshake, and we also explored some scans like the TCP Connect Scan and the SYN Scan, and then we learned how to detect the versions of the running services and check for the operating systems running on those hosts. And finally, we looked at the Nmap's most powerful feature, the NSE, or the Nmap Scripting Engine. So of course, Nmap can do a lot more than what we covered in this video, but this video should give you a solid foundation to start exploring on your own. If you learned even a bit from this video, if you enjoyed this video, I would be really glad if you could leave a like and consider subscribing this channel. You can follow me on my socials. The link would be in the description. The Nmap simulators link would be also be in the description on my website. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Till then, take care. Bye bye. Tata.